Buchman with the Potomac Bead Company, and I am pleased and happy to do a video for you guys featuring our brand new Iris Duo bead. I'm calling this the Iris bracelet since it's the first one using the Iris Duos. And if you're unfamiliar with the Iris Duo, because they are just launching here, our Iris Duos are our 2-holed iris shaped bead. They are a 7 by 4 millimeters, so they're 7 long and 4 millimeters wide, and they have 2 holes in them. In the middle of the Iris Duos for this Iris bracelet, we're going to be using our round duo beads and then also some 4 millimeter round Potomac crystals. If you need any of the materials to do this Iris bracelet, you can look below the video to the little date stamp that says when the video was published. Underneath there, it has a little button that says show more. Click down on that button and it'll give you links to all of these different products if you do want to shop from me at potomacbeads.com online. In addition to there, you can look at the little top hand right corner. There's a little icon of an eye that's information from us, the video creators, which will also have links if you do want to purchase some things from me online. So going into this Iris bracelet, obviously you are going to need Iris Duos. So the Iris Duos are going to encapsulate the round duos. For the Iris Duos here, I used the regular Crystal Labrador silver color. I'm going to be using the jet bronze color as we work together on this bracelet. The round duos are the turquoise golden touch in this example. I'm going to be using the opaque lilac as we make this bracelet together. And lastly, it's that green iris 4 millimeter round Potomac crystal that's on the outside of the example. And we're using the garnet AB color for the outsides. In addition to that, I have some 11-0 and 15-0 seed beads. The 11-0 here are that dark matte coral or that matte charcoal, and then some galvanized 15-0s in the champagne color. I'm going to be using the same 15-0s in the champagne color, and then some gold Miyuki seed beads in the 11-0 as well. So I'm going to do 11-0s and 15-0s in the same color, both the Miyuki brand. To string the whole bracelet together and to do the clasp, we're using a cup button in the amethyst color. 2 needles will be needed, 2 size 10 needles. You can use 12s, but you really don't need them. 10s will work just fine. I also have some thread, some 0.006 wildfire beading thread in my white color. You can use white, you can use green, you can use gray. For this project, it kind of really doesn't matter. And then sitting handy, I have my thread zap, which is a cord cutter or a thread burner. That's going to burn the thread as we're working with the project and the design off the spool as well as the ends of the thread. Once we burn it off our spool, I'm going to use my needle nose pliers to flatten out my thread in order to make it easier for me to put my thread on the needles. To get started, like I said, we are going to be using 2 needles on our thread, and I want you to cut about 4.5 feet of your thread off your spool with your wildfire off the spool with a thread zap. Use your bent nose pliers to put on a needle on either end of that. First, to put out, as far as laying out products, we're going to be using the 11-0s, the Iris Duos, and the round duos. So to start out with our design, I did get out one of our crystals. I'm going to put on my needle an 11, a crystal, and an 11, and get ready to add my cup button clasp at the start of the bracelet. To put the cup button on, you're going to put it with the dome side down and with 1 needle going through one hole and 1 needle going through the other hole of that 4.5 feet of our thread. That's going to allow that 4 millimeter crystal to kind of sit in the middle there with my 11-0 seed beads on either side. Coming out the back there, I'm going to grab my 11-0s and put 2 on each needle and let those fall back near the clasp. From there, I'm going to grab 2 more 11s and we're going to crisscross through these 11s. One needle is going to go from right to left and the other from left to right. You want to make sure as you are adding this clasp closure portion that the threads stay even on each side. You can see that brings it into a little bit of a V, which is going to make it comfortable for the loop on the other end. If you do have a regular clasp that you're using, you can go ahead, put on a wire guard or a wire protector, and add that now as well. What we are going to be doing is kind of decorating the sides of the iris duo and starting with the design. To start with the design, on the right and the left needle, we're going to add an 11/0 seed bead. From there, we're going to start adding the iris duos basically in groups of 2. We want the right needle to grab the iris duo always with it rounded side facing up, flat side facing down, with the going through the left hole. On the left needle, we want to go through the right hole. That way when I'm looking at it, the iris duos are going to sit upright just like we want them to. From there, let your iris duos drop down next to your button and grab a round duo. The round duos are a 5mm round bead that have 2 holes. So just like the cup button, one needle is going to go through one hole and one needle is going to go through the other hole of the round duo, with the needles exiting going the same direction. Push that all down next to the button and then separate your needles back out. After you separate your needles back out, it's time to put on your iris duos again. Face them forward or bubble side up. Right needle goes through the left hole, left needle goes through the right hole. After that, add an 11/0 seed bead on each needle. From here, we repeat this process the entire length of the bracelet. So we're going to keep our needles separate, add another iris duo, one on the right, one on the left needle. From there, grab your round duo and put the round duo on so you have one needle going through the left hole and one needle going through the right hole. Grab another 2 of your iris duos. Right needle goes through the left hole, left needle goes through the right hole. Again, that's when they are facing forward with a flat side down, and let that drop down. From there, you can see that nice pattern starting to take shape, and you're just going to continue on with the bracelet till you get about 7 inches or so, depending on the size of your wrist. You're looking at approximately 9 of your groupings of your iris duos. You're going to do 9 to 11 depending on the size of your wrist. 11 is going to get pretty big, but you're going to look and do about 9 of them approximately for your wrist size in order to get that first row of our iris bracelet completed. So I'm getting done my last little iris portion, and I apologize on the last one I said about 9. It's actually going to be about 11 for a smaller wrist and 12 or 13 for a more average size wrist. I'm at the end here, and I'm coming out with a seed bead on each side, just like I had at the starting section. From here, I'm going to make my loop for my clasp because we're going up the bracelet, and then we're going to come back down the bracelet, adding in our crystals with a chance to kind of cinch up the sides. To do so and get the clasp in, you're going to add 2 more of your 11/0 seed beads with the left needle. Take the needle that's on the right and go through those same 2 with the needle coming out the right hand side. What that's going to do is alternate the threads between those 2, having them crisscross. So you're going to give a nice tight pull. That's going to put those 4 beads on the outer edge, just like we have at the start side. I always like my sides to kind of mimic each other and match as we're creating. So to continue now, I'm going to add a bunch of my 11/0 seed beads, approximately 28 since I already have 2 started there. This is your nice opportunity to kind of clean up your bead mat here and add in all of those beads with either the right needle or the left needle. It doesn't matter which one you start with. Again, if you're using a regular clasp, here is when you would add the wire guard as well as the clasp enclosure. We're going to reinforce this then with the other needle, and if you want to, you can even reinforce it a 3rd time, going through with the starter thread one more time. As I exit the project now, I'm going to pull this loop around in a circle for the cup button. To do so, the needle that's in my hand that I just did the seed beads with is going to go back through those 2 seed beads that we were coming out of. The needle that's in the left hand side now goes through and reinforces it. Like I said, if you want to do 3 times, you're just going to take this second needle around twice. You're going to put all the thread or all the seed beads into that second needle spinning them around towards the other side. As we get to the base or the bottom of this grouping of seed beads then, and making sure that we're not missing any, you're going to go through those 2 original ones to the opposite side, which again is going to bring your needles back to the same place with 1 needle coming out the left and 1 needle coming out the right. From here, we're going to come down the iris duo and decorate the sides, pulling in and cinching the iris duos around the round duos so they do look more like an iris shape. And as we do that, we'll add our crystals right along that outer edge coming back. So right now you are done with your seed beads and your round duos and your iris duos, and get ready with your crystals and your 15-0 seed beads. So to get back to the sides, in order to put our 15 in our crystals, you're going to take your needle that's coming out of those 2 beads on the right hand side, down the seed bead below, so coming out through the seed bead next to the iris duo, and we're going to add 3 of our 15-0 seed beads in our golden color. So through the second hole of the iris duo, and then the second hole of the next iris duo in line. That's going to pull those iris duos in towards the center of the round duo. Again, on the opposite side on the left, because anything we do with the left needle, or the right needle, we're also going to do with the left. String through the seed bead next to the iris duo, add 3 15s, and string through the iris duo, both holes of both beads. As we do so, you can kind of pull, and you're going to see the effect of that kind of cupping of the iris duo. On the outer edge then, we get to add our 15, our crystal, and our 15. Sew through your next 2 iris duos. If you want to, you can even get fancy and spin the thread around in order to kind of decorate the outer edge of the iris duos. You could put on 6 15s going around the top there and spin back around. I just wanted to keep it nice and simple to really show off the iris duos. So again, continue adding a crystal of 15, a crystal of 15, and sew through the next 2 iris duos. So the cool thing a lot about these multi-hold beads is that your projects move really quickly and you get nice effects from them. So continue on here down the right side, and then we'll go down the left side as well, adding in the crystals, connecting the second hole of the iris duos, and then I'll show you how we're going to reinforce the clasp. So I'm finished coming down the sides here, decorating our beads, and you do want to give it a nice tight pull so that way it really kind of cups up those iris duos as well as the crystals. And when we're coming out the end, we are going to mimic the start of the bracelet as well as where we did the loops. So we already have those 2 beads in. On the right hand side here with my right needle, I'm going to add 3 15s, go through 3 of my 11-0 seed beads along that grouping of 4, and we're going to use this time to reinforce the clasp, going up the 2 beads below the cup button, through the 11-0 at the top of the cup button, and then through the crystal 11-0 and down the other side of the cup button. When you come down the other side of the cup button, also go through the 11-0s at the base there, and then to finish off, we're going to go through the 11s in the middle, those 2 that we've grouped through the 11-0 on the left hand side, and then to mimic and to finish it up here, we're going to go and add 3 of our 15s, give it a nice tight yank, getting all that thread pulled nice and tightly, and then take the thread on the left hand side and tie the 2 thread ends together. So it's a nice easy ending to tie the ends when you have 2 needles. After we tie, if you want to, you can use a little bit of super glue glue to hold those thread ends together, or you can do a thread burner or the combination of the 2. I'm going to take my needle off so it doesn't get mixed up in my loop. I do right over left and then left over right, making sure that none of my seed beads are involved in that knot. One tie, flip hands, which is going to accomplish the same thing as a square knot, and then tie again. I'm going to do 4 total times of a knot, 2 complete square knots. Go in then with your thread burner. I like to heat it up before I actually go in and burn off. So I heat it up. While it's still being held, burn off those little thread ends. Leaving about 1/8 of an inch, go ahead then and burn down the ends, flush against the bracelet. This would be a good bracelet if you're using the same colors to do the gray thread too. And there you have your iris bracelet completed. So there's going to be a lot of bracelets and a lot of designs and necklaces and earrings and everything coming out with the Iris Duo because it is our newest shape. Again, if you need the Iris Duo, you want to build along and you want to order some beads from us, you can check out PotomacBeads.com. You can go back to the beginning of the video where I list off all the materials, or go below the video to the little date stamp there, and you can click down on the Show More button, get a copy then to the links of all of the different products using here in this iris bracelet. You can also stay connected with me at PotomacBeads.com. You can stay connected with us on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest. And if you're interested, we also have a Facebook group that we started. That's a members group that you can apply to and ask to be a member of that group. It's a wonderful interactive group with people that love to make jewelry, love to give ideas, show what they've made, and really inspire anybody that's in the group as well. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching this iris bracelet. Have fun creating the first of many creations with our awesome new Iris Duo bead. Thanks again and have fun creating.